start with the who, the what, the where of the art world and take it from there. And of course, the most important place to start is with the artists themselves. After all, without them, there is no art world. There is no art world 101 either. Now, personally, I don't like putting anyone in a box, but the art world is full of boxes. And let's be honest, the hierarchy, it's alive and well. There are 4 categories of artists that we need to talk about. 1, emerging. 2, mid-career. 3, established. And 4, the deceased. God rest their souls. These categories, they're recognized across the art world. I don't know who came up with them, but they stuck. And they mean something. The bottom line is these categories determine the value of what people are prepared to pay for the work. Let's also not forget, this list doesn't include everyone. There's a whole huge category of brilliant artists. They're selling work on Etsy, in local galleries, and online. But sadly, they seem invisible to the established art world. Some, they're fine with that. Others are desperate to break in. And if you're sitting there thinking, yeah, that's me, well, don't worry. I'm really here for you. And you're in the right place. I think I can help. But for now, let's get back to the boxes. We'll leave thinking outside of the box for later. So, number 1, the emerging artist. This artist, they're exhibiting for the first time, often right out of college or with an advanced degree in art, but not always. This isn't a term that just means beginning. You can, in fact, you can have a 60-year-old whose career is considered emerging. They may have been around for years, but it's now that they're getting attention from curators, dealers, critics, you name it. They will have been included in maybe a group show, and they might even have a solo exhibition coming up. But importantly, they have made sales. People have to have actually bought the work to be considered an emerging artist. Van Gogh sold only 1 work in his lifetime. By these terms, he's still a wannabe. Over the years, I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of artists in this category. It's often the most exciting stage in their careers, in their lives even. It can also be a great time to buy their work, because as a rule of thumb, when an artist is emerging, you can often pick up their work for anywhere between, say, $500 and $5,000. And who knows how much it might be worth a few years later. So a great opportunity for us collectors. But at this level, artists are mostly still suffering for their art, and they're probably not really making ends meet. Until you get to box 2, the mid-career artist. Listen, this one always amuses me, because how do you know if an artist is mid anything? You don't know how long someone's going to live. Take David Hockney. He's 85. He's been working and has had such huge critical success since the early 60s. I mean, God, I think he was teaching at the University of Iowa in 1964. But at what point did people call him a mid-career artist? In 1960, he was in his 20s. But was he mid-career? Whatever. You get my point. In truth, mid-career artists are those who have a significant body of work created consistently over a number of years and who have received regional and national recognition. To call yourself mid-career, you have to have had one solo exhibition at a reputable gallery or a museum. Sometimes museums even help us out and title shows mid-career survey, which helps cement the reputation of an artist. Some would argue that these categories or labels are given by the gatekeepers, the curators, the gallerists, who stand to make a cut off the back of the success of an artist. You can't just dub yourself a mid-career artist. It just doesn't work like that. And in fact, nor can you organically mature into this next category just by virtue of being around for long enough. Which brings me on to level 3. The established artist. We're talking blue chip, almost impossible to buy household names. Damien Hirst, Jeff Koons, Tracy Emin. These folks exhibit at the top contemporary galleries, of which there are only a dozen. And when I say blue chip, we're talking about artists with a proven track record for creating art that increases in value over time. The established artist's market value has been confirmed time and time again with sales both in the primary market, that's the galleries, but also the secondary market, creating a massive buzz at auction. Blue chip artworks, if you can afford them, they're likely a good investment. The established artist has an extensive portfolio. It includes like a recognizable and acclaimed body of work, and they themselves, they're our celebrities. There's no denying their place in the ecosystem, though some, they do go in and out of fame and favor. I mean, easiest example, Julian Schnabel, the man who famously told New York Magazine, and I quote, "I'm the closest thing to Picasso that you'll see in this effing life." Critically and financially, this guy's fluctuating reputation begs to differ, and many think his celebrity has gotten in the way of his art career. But whatever you think of Schnabel, he stood the test of time. He's been a key player in the art world since the 1970s. On the other hand, there are a few bright stars who literally leapfrog category 1 and 2 and make it into the established artist status without ever passing go. Amy Sherald, for instance, has only done a decade in the art world proper, but she's so sought after that it's impossible to buy her work. Trust me, I've tried. All of her canvases are sold well before the paint even dries. Sherald was waiting tables until she was 38, but everything changed for her in 2016 when her painting Miss Everything beat out over 2,500 other entries to win the National Portrait Gallery's prestigious portrait prize. Soon after, she was selected to paint the official White House portrait of Michelle Obama, which obviously catapulted her into public consciousness. And enter Hauser and Wirth, one of those 12 mega galleries. They swooped in and announced the representation of Sherald just a month after the portrait of the former First Lady was unveiled. Almost overnight, Sherald was firmly an established artist. So all in all, do you see what I mean? There's no hard and firm rules here. The art world loves a classification, but not a textbook definition. If someone higher up in the hierarchy deems you a mid-career artist, it is thus. Because rules are meant to be broken, right? But why? Why does this all matter? Well, let me give you one quick final example. There's an upcoming summer show at the Cranbrook Art Museum in the States. It's to be a mid-career survey of pioneering fiber artist Sonia Clark. Now, is she really only mid-career? 56-year-old Clark, she's exhibited in something like 450 museums and galleries across the globe. Look it up on Wikipedia. That's a lot of work in a lot of places. Her work is serious museum fare, and it's been reviewed by all the rags of note. Art in America, the LA Times, the New York Times. Given just how recognized she is by the art world, you might expect that she was way past mid-career. But this just goes to show how rarefied the era is in that established artist category, doesn't it? Or does it just go to prove that because Clark isn't represented by one of those bigwig mega galleries, she's represented by a smallish gallery with a very, very good reputation in Baltimore, one that's been around for 25 years. But no, the mid-career bracket is where she stays for now. And finally, category 4, the deceased. The deal is that it's obviously the end of the line for these artists, but their legacy lives on. If you're a living legend, you stay that way in death. But if you haven't gotten quite there before you go, time's unfortunately up for you climbing the ladder. Well, there is always that 1 in a million discovery of an unknown body of work by an artist who has long since passed, who then miraculously gets posthumously promoted to the canon. But that's an exception. It's not the rule. When you die, you're destined to stay in the box you occupy in life. Sorry. But you know what? That's not a category I really want to dwell on, so we'll leave it there. This isn't a history lesson. What I'm interested and really into and what I want to show you, it's the living, breathing, and creative energy of the art world of today and tomorrow.